Kids at home, welcome back to Doodling with Purpose, the only free hieroglyphic lesson week to week available here on the internet. Now today is a very special episode of Doodling with Purpose, not just because it's episode 130, but because we're going to draw the Eye of Horus, which is also sometimes known as the Eye of Ra, or in reverse, the Eye of Thoth, which is actually what you're looking at here. So, while it's commonly known on tattoos and rock albums and t-shirts and jewelry you buy at any tourist attraction in Cairo, the Eye of Horus / Eye of Thoth / Eye of Ra is used throughout human history as a symbol of knowledge, power, and, for those of you who have dollar bills, conspiracy theories. Alright, so what's the difference between the Eye of Ra, Thoth, and Horus? Well, one is the left eye, one is the right eye, and one is both eyes. So, much like every other glyph, you can write it backwards or forwards, left to right or right to left, but not backwards through time. It just depends on which direction you're facing. So the right eye is known as the Eye of Ra, the left eye the Eye of Thoth. Both eyes collectively are known as the Eyes of Horus. Alright, we're going to concentrate on the Eye of Ra, which is the more traditional one, the left eye. Alright. So before we do that, though, we have to continue our bilateral sounds, which is the single I without all the extra detail. Now, this is pronounced ear, I-R. So kind of like iris, that's how I think of it, much like the fish is in, like it's in the Nile. Now, the traditional I-R-I both has the double line around it as well as the pupil, which is something you don't necessarily see in other configurations of the eye. And this becomes the verb to do. So IR, the I, just the single I, if you will, is a verb which has a lot of colloquial meanings. It can also be spelled with the mouth glyph, which would be IRR, the echo sound of the double R, but it's only pronounced ear or ire. So if you want to actually say an I, as opposed to the verb, you have to add a T and a stroke line. And as we know, stroke lines always indicate a determinative or an ideogram. So it's saying this is not a sound, but what it actually is. And in the case of the I, like the human eye, it's actually spelled I-R-T. Irt is the word for I. See, we're still doing vocabulary, which is interesting because a lot of glyphs, the word is the sound, like per, P-R, which is the drawing of a house, is actually the word house. Or as an ideogram example, the word ib, which is the word for heart, is actually a heart. But in the case of an eye, just drawing the eye is a verb, meaning to do. If you want to draw an actual eye, it has to be IRT with the T and the determinative added to it. All right, so let's move on then to the world's most famous tattoo and tourist trap icon, which is the Eye of Ra, or also known as the Eye of Horus. So, similar to the single eye, you're going to start it the same way. You're going to have a hill that starts elongated on the left, goes up, and then gets shorter on the right. Then the bottom is going to be a loop back up connecting both sides, noting that the left side is a little bit more elongated. We'll then do two half curves up, making the iris, noting that unlike the single eye, we're not going to put a pupil in the middle, like a circle, if you will. You can see, and you do see this version done, but by the book, and I'm talking about the Egyptian Book of the Dead, you do not add a pupil. The iris is just indicated by those two half circles going up, connecting the top and bottom portions. And again, you can see the left side is elongated, the right side is a little bit shorter and comes to more of a point. Once you have the basic eye, now in order to do the Eye of Horus, we're going to draw a double line around the eye. Think of it as mascara, and you're going to start from the tip of the right side and then work towards the left. Once you get past the eye, you're going to continue that, making a rectangle, which is actually going to be longer at the end than it is next to the eyes. You can see where I've drawn steps 7 and 8, but I've drawn the end a little bit wider. Then we're going to drop down from the middle there, and we're going to draw what's very similar to the bricklaying tool, the KID sound, KD, which we're going to be getting to a review of that soon. Then you'll curve this around and come back up Unlike the bricklaying tool, the little beak, if you will, is a direct point, not flat on one side. Then you'll draw the final detail, which is the curve. So once you come back up from the bricklaying tool, modified, you will then go to the left and do your little spiral, connecting that, and then drawing it back to the eye. So now you have 90% of the Eye of Horus here. We're just leaving out one final detail. But before we do that, let me review and actually draw it for you. All right, so here I have the top, the bottom, elongating the left. Now I'm drawing the iris detail. We're now going to start from the right, going to the left, drawing what I would call the mascara detail, going longer at the end, coming back around. Then we're going to connect that. We'll drop down. We'll draw the bricklaying tool or the spiked beak. Then our little spiral coming out. And then the other side of the spiral, it's best to start again at the base of the eye and come around to ensure that it connects correctly and doesn't leave any extra space. All right, so we have a good Eye of Horus now, but we're still missing one final detail that's important, which is the eyebrow, which is also super easy to draw, barely an inconvenience. You're just going to draw a double line eyebrow starting from the left and curving it around the eye. Bam! You now know how to draw the single most well-known hieroglyphic in the world and the one that everybody puts on their t-shirts when they visit Cairo. Congratulations! Your homework this week is to draw the Eye of Horus over and over and over again. Heck, draw the Eye of Thoth. Draw the Eye of Ra. Try drawing it in both directions. I hope you enjoyed this special episode as we looked at a non-sound glyph. There's no sound associated with that. It's just the Eye of Horus. Come back next week and we'll return to bilateral sounds and we'll keep going through as we continue to learn hieroglyphics and, of course, doodle with purpose. Thanks for watching.